Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows. Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula V Weekend Warriors. This is round number 3 of this season, coming to you today from the Bend. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me, working the comms and the cams, is Joshua Wilkie. Well, Josh, we head off to the international version of Shell V-Power Motorsports Park, or as they call it, the Bend. My open made it sound like a superhero character, but this track can be somewhat villainous. This is still one of the newer ones on iRacing. Some of these drivers may be tackling this place for the very first time, so to say this is going to be a venture off into the unknown is a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. And, you know, for myself as well, I don't know how familiar you are with this particular track, but The bend is a brand new one for me. I've maybe done 3 laps around here, and it was difficult. I couldn't, you can't see your apexes coming. This is a place that you kind of have to memorize. You kind of have to be a bit of a specialist around. We got a couple notes from one of our admins out there today, Jim Brewster, gave us a few little tips we'll kind of be covering over the course of the show here, but this one isn't going to be an easy one at all, and I believe we're going to see some weather today as well, Ron, so this one should be a pretty interesting one for everybody out there. Kurt Nunez on your screen right now, sponsor of today's race.
You know, actually, it was said on the broadcast last time out at Barber that, I don't know, we had some, like, alter ego people come in here. I wasn't in the booth, Josh, you weren't in. We got replaced by some guy named Dan and Brian. It was very odd, but
very strange.
Kurt let us know that Kurt Nunez, actually, I have to add the little emphasis at the end there. So Kurt Nunez making this broadcast possible here on Slow Motion Broadcasting here today. I was a little bit concerned just for a few moments. I realized I popped up the wrong production feed. I was on the air like 5 minutes ago on a different show, popping into this one here. So I was a little bit worrisome. I was like, man, this doesn't look like Formula V's at all. It looks like a multi-class sports car race at Le Mans, but that's just me having the IQ of a mud flap. Is Nunez going to come across the stripe? Currently qualified in 9th at the moment. Will he be able to jump in front of Jim Brewster as we get towards the end of this session? Guido looking like he's going to set a very good lap time. Currently holding on to the provisional pole right now. He does not improve on that lap time, but nice to see Guido up at the top.
Yeah, Guido's been at the top of our charts here quite a bit. Since probably the end of last season, really seen a kind of push, or maybe mid last season, seen a real push out of Guido here to get some speed and be at the front. I think, like I was saying in the original season, I think he always had the speed kind of to be here. It just took a little bit of time, get the experience driving around, his competitors and so on, to kind of unlock that confidence that he needed to really let the car fly and kind of get it up the inside of certain drivers and stuff when need be. And that's what he's doing now. And it seems like he's been able to really get some confidence and get some speed. Sometimes those wins just seem to spawn other wins, don't they, Ron? It's a bit of a confidence thing. I see it in almost every sport. It seems to happen a little more in kind of singular sports maybe than team sports, but or maybe that's just me. But you see it in motocross a lot. You see it in motorsports a lot, where one win just seems to kind of snowball into many wins.
Yeah, and it certainly seemed like Guido has been in a form like that for a while. He's been super duper quick as of recent here. Was second only to Tortello in the campaign last season. So he's certainly got to be quick. We're going to be keeping an eye on him throughout this one here, holding on to that provisional pole on the rare instance of a somewhat normal racetrack here at the Bend. This is my 4th time doing a broadcast here. This is the 3rd different layout that I've gone to cover. The past 2 times have been both here on Slow Motion Broadcasting and on the West configuration. That's a little bit on the short end, but still somewhat manageable. Last time we saw it was only about a week and a half ago here on SMB when I was running production comms on the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Championship. Since then, we now have the Formula V's racing here. First ever broadcast I did was on the GT layout that has like 30 turns. Just absolutely absurd. That is a odd racetrack. This one's a little bit interesting as well. 18 turns in all, 3 miles. It's a bit more normal compared to some of the alternative layouts, but this is still a racetrack that these racers, I don't think, have any sort of prior experience on. And if they do have experience here, it's limited.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's kind of everybody on the service right now, unless you've happened to have a big race around here, or a couple, or maybe you're just you really like this track and you've been out there practicing it. From everybody I've spoken to about the Bend here, that's out on track right now, nobody really has any experience here. So this should be a pretty interesting one. Just watching Martin Visser on your screen now, top of the S2 category at the moment, doing really well this year. Kurt Nunez, our race sponsor, just behind him, will be our 2nd place pole sitter in Masters at the moment in the 918 car. Going to thank him, Nunez. I got to get that one right. Nunez, for sponsoring today's race. Pretty awesome that we get these ones sponsored up so quickly. Such a great community there for sure. Guido Marzucci still holding the pole in P1 here with a 2:16.3 versus Andy Middleton's 2:16.4. So really close together there. That's just just about a tenth in between the two of them. Looks like there's a bit of drafting to be done around here too, Ron, so I have a feeling it's not going to be so easy to just pull away from anyone around here. Looks like there's lots of real estate to catch up.
Yeah, so this racetrack, outside that start-finish straightaway, there's really not a massively long flat-out part of the track. Maybe the run between turn number 3 and turn 6. Some bends in the road here at the bend. However, in these Formula Vs, it is still going to be quite quick. We're going to see those lap times be a bit on the longer end, but the speeds, the average speeds at least, will be quite high. And we do have to consider what sort of weather conditions we may have here. Now, I haven't heard any rumblings about rain, albeit I do have the memory of a goldfish. However, we did hear about so-called realistic weather conditions here. Now, realistic weather is a setting applied on iRacing that will usually draw the weather conditions from how it is like in real life roundabout now. Right now in sim, it is April 4th of 2026, same time that is now. It's at 2:22 p.m., which I don't believe is the correct time down there in Australia, based off the fact that's only about an hour and some change behind where I am on the east coast of the U.S., so I'm not sure if the bend is actually in Nova Scotia or not, but we're still seeing rather moderate conditions right towards the beginning of fall down there in Australia. So track temperatures at about 94, ambient temperature at about 79 Fahrenheit, which I would usually say is hot, but off the back of doing a broadcast this past Thursday where the track temperatures hit 154 Fahrenheit, that's going to be ice cold.
Yeah, that's a really hot, greasy track for sure. And yeah, you're right. I think I misspoke earlier that it would be rain. No, it's not necessarily rain. It's just active live weather.
Rain.
So there's a possibility that you could get rain, but I don't think that's going to happen today. Like you said, we're probably just going to have a really hot track. But real weather does add an element. Something I really like about these leagues is that they do add things like this, so that it's just another layer to the immersion. It's not just a flag to flag race. You're going to get a little bit of weather in there. You're going to get maybe some of our other leagues do pit stops or a little bit of rain, or maybe even a sunset to transition or something like that. I really appreciate those things personally in sim.
Yeah, just small little bits like that when iRacing really just rejuvenated and revived their weather system. It was a big update when they brought in the rain. It was massive. That had been kind of a running joke in the community for many moons. I know some people absolutely despise the rain, but as somebody who in the past has been described by his own father as being a mutter, I absolutely adore driving in the rain in the sim and in real life, albeit not on the public streets, because out there on the racetrack you can trust drivers who are actually good out there in the streets of Philly. There's only so much trust you can put in a beat-up Toyota Camry that's going about 50 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Yeah, absolutely. The old beater cars is where we get we all cut our teeth. Just watching Tortello here and I believe his father there as well, Nick, taking a bit of a liberties on the track exits there, and I have a feeling we're going to see a little bit of that today. Just going into some of the notes here, that curving too actually just reminded me, Tor there, clouding that curbing on the inside. I have a feeling somebody's probably going to do that at some point today too, and hopefully not get tossed into their competitor. But just hearing some notes here from Jim Brewster, he's gonna make some good points here about T1, kind of maximize T1 around here, but then you're sort of sacrificing T2 and T3, so we may see some lunges, some dives into that T1 after that long straightaway. But if you don't get that apex right, if you don't get that exit correct, well, you might just end up getting caught by T2 or T3. Some blind entries around here too. He's mentioning his T6, pretty blind, wide entry, so there's probably be some interesting stuff going on there as well. But it looks like we're going to get this short pace lap we've been warned about here, Ron, so let's get this grid going.
Yeah, let me try and get my best cattle auctioneer voice going on right now. Guido Marzucchi going to start this race from the pole position. Not the first time he started from the pole. Probably will not be the last either. Andy Middleton set to join him on the front row. Tortola going to be starting this race in the third. Next to him will be Nate Coliseo. Row number 3 will be Sam Chapman, the Aussie, next to Brian Szynski. Starting in 6th, Michelle Lynn, Series Admin, will be alongside fellow Series Admin Jim Brewster, grabbing the pole in the Masters category. Martin Visser, Spec 2 pole sitter, starts this race in 9th. Kurt Nunez completes her top 10. Gary Kittle in 11th. Dan Szynski in 12th. Kind of a nice little flow going on right now. Only a few more starters and the drivers are still lining up on this provisional grid. That'll be Nick Tullo in lucky spot P13, Stephen Westcott in P14. Jason Grider will start in 15th place next to Brett Thompson in 16th and Wayne Buttermore running at your field here for round number 3 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Not the end of the Weekend Warriors action here on SMB. We've got the Formula Fords and the Spec Racer Fords coming up in about 24 hours time here on the channel. Some great action. You can catch Josh on the call for F4 FF you can catch Josh on the call for FF and you catch me on the call for SRF. You can catch F4s where he's on production and I'm on comms, and Tom O'Gorman from Liberty Bell is on there with us on Tuesdays at 10:20 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:20 p.m. Pacific. Got the plug out. I just need to get my tongue unwrapped around my teeth there. As we're about to get this pace lap up and rolling, Josh, you brought up a good point about turn number 1, 2, and 3. Kind of feels like the opening series of turns at Singapore, the F1 street circuits, if it approached the event horizon of a black hole.
Yeah, it kind of does a little bit. Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting spot for us for sure today. We're going to get some passing into there. Just that big long rip down there, and then it just seems like the best passing opportunity. Just before we start here, I'm going to get a quick plug in for Stevie's retirement round tomorrow. Stevie's retiring. Pretty awesome stuff. We want to wish him a big congratulations for his career and all of that stuff and all the help that he gives us here at the Weekend Warriors. And we're going to be seeing probably a lot more of him on track and stuff. So congrats, Stevie. We appreciate all the work. Enjoy it, man. And we are back to racing right meow.
And right meow, we're waiting for that green flag to come out here down under. The green flag flies. The drivers are on their way, and we're racing here at the bend. Good start there from Marzuki. Got to look to try and pull away from the field as Tullo and Middleton start to go side by side in their run down into turn number 1. This massive run up into the first turn. Going to be a good spot to try and get a move done. Tullo going to try and go for the dive down into the opening series of bends, but not able to get the move done. Marzuki going to hold on to that top spot. Middleton and Chapman now going side by side. Sam Chapman, a past winner here in these Formula Vs. Haven't seen him in quite some time here in this series, but he decides to return once we're racing down under. He's now running in third.
Yeah, Sam Chapman here side by side. Surprised at how much side by side we're seeing here. Since T1 there have been multiple cars axle to axle here, and it hasn't stopped. The 29 and 70 of Sam Chapman and Andy Middleton almost making contact mid-corner, able to get away with it though. Guido is going to hold on to that lead in front of Tullo for the time being. Andy Middleton just behind Sam Chapman here, Nate Colacio, Brian Trzynski, and then you got to go back to Jim Brewster in 7th for our first Masters driver, back to 10th, Dan Trzynski for our first S2 driver. Pretty awesome stuff here at the bend. I'm kind of liking this, Ron. This place looks like a pretty racy track. It's wide. It seems like it's not ultra technical, and there's places to get passes done. I might have to take some laps around here. This actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, this is a fun racetrack. It's one where you can't really have any visual sight outs just because it is, pretty much just built in a field. But once you get the feel for this track, it is a lovely experience, he says, as just hearing from other drivers' thoughts on this place. I haven't got the opportunity to drive it yet. God, I think the last time that I drove on iRacing was... I don't even want to know. Brian Trzynski just ran wide there. He's going to drop down maybe outside of the top 10. Dan Trzynski going to get a move put on him. Any more Brian and Dan battles, I'm going to get some bad flashbacks to last week's show. As we see them complete the first lap, Guido Marzuki going to be a race leader. Some up and runs nearly attempted there from Jason Grider to Nick Tullo.
Yeah, last week's Brian and Dan bonanza there. I'm not sure who took over the booth, but they did a pretty good job in here. Oh, we have a huge one in the background. The Olympus car, I believe that was Nick Tullo, perhaps, off the road. Maybe Martin Visser with him. We'll have to get a replay on that, but up front here, Sam Chapman, Tullo going side by side. They're going to split the difference around Guido in the far car. Guido is going to hold on to it up the middle. Not going to quite let that one happen yet. He's still holding on to it, still got his nose up front. Guido is going to come out with that one ahead. Maybe Tor on the inside now with that better line is going to finally get that one done. Wow, that was some pretty good stuff, some pretty good defense from Guido there, not giving it up. He's going to hold on to P2, but there is an absolute firestorm at the front of this pack.
Yeah, it's just a bag full of firecrackers that just got lit on fire, waiting to see how many pops go off. 3 wide racing into turn number 6. The thing is, with that flat-out run right towards the end of the first sector, that third turn has a little bit of banking to help these racers out. So not only can he go side by side through there, he can keep the momentum rolling too. So once you head into turn number 6, you'll find yourself in a bit of formation flying like we just saw there. Now through the shortcut that makes this international layout different from the GT course that continues on for another like 20 turns on the other side of that wall. Heading off through the top end of the racetrack now, 11 and 12. We'll try and point out the turns where they are. I know for some, they're still trying to get their bearing straight around this racetrack. I swear, at first when iRacing came out with this place, I didn't even think it was real. Now, we do have one fictional racetrack in iRacing. That's iRacing Super Speedway. I think we should pull one over for Forza Motorsport 4. The track in Switzerland, I think it was the Geneva racetrack. I need to get the official name of that. We need to bring that into iRacing.
Yeah, some pretty cool fantasy tracks that came out of that game for sure. Ron, I'm not totally familiar with that one, but maybe it is the one I am familiar with. And there's some pretty cool tracks in there. I got to be honest with you, I kind of thought it might be fake too when I first saw this. I was like, the band, I've never heard of anything like that. And then you kind of see this giant squiggly thing with a zillion different layouts, and you're like, that can't be real, but it is real, and it's a pretty cool facility. Actually, I'm actually really liking the look of this. Now I haven't really done many laps around here, but this looks like a pretty fun layout, a pretty fun track, perhaps one of those just kind of sleeper tracks. Doesn't really kind of hit your radar until you're on it.
It was Bernese Alps. That was the name of the track in
yep.
Forza Motorsport 4. Forza Motorsport 4 was the track where my mother grew to be the most angry with me that I think she ever was. I would play that game up until close to bedtime, which for me back in the day was probably around 8 o'clock. What's funny is, as a kid, I was happy to stay up late. Now, if I can fall asleep before 9, I'm a very happy customer.
That is the way it goes, huh? Yeah, if I could only stay asleep now, that would be it. Oh, those were the days, weren't they, Ron? Sitting with the controller in front of the TV, angering our parents with how long the sessions were going, playing Gran Turismo and such. Definitely where I cut my teeth in the sim world was there, along with many of us. I bet most of these cars out there that we're seeing cut our teeth there. But we have a serious battle going on here mid-pack between Andy Middleton, Nate Colascio, Sam Chapman, Jim Brewster, Kurt Nunez, Michelle Lynn, and even Brian Trzynski there. This is quite the battle happening mid-pack. This place really does seem to kind of spawn good racing, doesn't it? Lots of places to pass, nice and wide, couple straightaways to kind of keep everybody together. Yeah, this is turning out really, really well. I'm going to pop our weather widget up here too and just see how our live weather is doing. I'm not sure if I have this in Fahrenheit or Celsius here. Oh, we're in Fahrenheit, so everybody should understand it. My crazy Celsius up here in Canada. But yeah, it's looking fairly warm out there. 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Track temps probably a little higher than that, I would think, but yeah, not too bad. Oh, there it is, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, so it's pretty greasy out there as we lose Michelle Lynn on the inside. Unfortunate. We'll have to go back and have a look at that in the 308. Not slowing down, not heeding those yellow flags, and is going to slam the back of Michelle Lynn. I did look away for a moment there. I hope that wasn't a bad rejoin on her point.
No, she was just stopped there on the racetrack, probably trying to get her bearing straight, and in the process of that, got a pretty big checkup from the rear end all over the place as she tried to head her way back into the pit lane. Understandable. Meatball flags coming out for 3 racers there, both Lynn, who got hit, and Kittle, who did the hitting, and then Dan Szynski as well, who's now filed into the pits with a meatball flag as well. Now we got some side-by-side up at the front. Tortolo nearly running off into pit exit there as he headed his way down a start-finish stretch. Marzuki going to jump into the race lead there. So these two have actually broken away into their own little neat pack. It's 1.4 seconds the margin between themselves and the group that's led by Sam Chapman right behind. That was the spin there. Oh, he got, that was Dan Szynski. He had nowhere to go. Hit Michelle Lynn, who was still stopped there on the inside. It was side-by-side racing with herself, I believe, Kurt Nunez. And there's the contact with Dan. There's the contact with Kittle.
Yeah, not really anywhere for either one of them to go. That first response I had there, maybe he's just not heeding the flags, but honestly, he only had a second or two. He may have been a little bit unsighted there as well. So unfortunately, Michelle Lynn just kind of sitting in the middle of the track there and nobody really able to get around her. So that is an unfortunate one. Just a bit of contact with Kurt Nunez on the inside there. And we know this iRacing seems to just allow the car on the inside to just basically shrivel up and die when it touches another car. And that seems to be the way it goes. It just loses that battle in so many situations. It feels wrong, to be honest, to me often when you get a little tap from a car beside you and the car just seems to turn into a paperweight or sorry, as light as a piece of paper and just kind of float off the track. It's like you have no tires underneath you all of a sudden, and I think that's kind of what happened to Michelle in there, unfortunately being caught by that particular little physics thing that happens. But not too bad here up in the front. Actually, you know what? Right as I say that, it looks like we lost. I believe that was Sam Chapman, went super wide, lost a couple positions.
Yes, unfortunate mode for Sam Chapman all through the final sector. That final sector seemed to be, I don't know why, Josh, it seems like a slightly silent killer. Let's take a look at here. It's a problem with this section of the racetrack specifically because you can see the elevation change really bites there. That was heading off through what I like to call the triple turn of turns 14, 15, and 16, back-to-back-to-back bends around this racetrack. And when you're going through there, even on this version of the track, you know, some of the past broadcasts that we've seen has been on the west configuration that has an even shorter run down to turn number 14. It makes it even harder to go through there without some sort of incident taking place. Even here, when these drivers have more time to set up, these Formula Vs don't necessarily like sharp and aggressive weight transfers. And guess what you've got to do to try and get through that turn and hit all the apex? Sharp and aggressive maneuvers that result in sharp and aggressive weight transfers. So that is pretty much just a race car's worst nightmare. Heading off through that turn, throw elevation change in the mix as well. Forget it. That rear end is going to have a mind of its own.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's exactly it there. He's kind of asked a little too much of the car at exactly the wrong moment and exactly the wrong orientation, and you just kind of lose the rear end there. Something these cars don't really like you said, that quick back, left to right weight transfer, and just they can't really seem to dig the claws in as quick as you want them to sometimes on those particular weight transfer moments like that. But looking at Nate Colascio now leading this pack from the last position on the podium. I have a feeling there's a lot of cars behind him that want that last position there, Ron, and they're not going to let this one go lightly. I'm not exactly sure what you would be thinking right now in the car, but I think if I was, if I was Andy Middleton, if I was Sam Chapman, Jim Brewster, I'd probably be kind of biding my time right now, keeping an eye on the person behind me to try to keep them where they are, but also trying to stay right behind the car in front of me so that I can make a pounce on them. You don't want to lose a position, but you want to keep yourself in a position where you can gain one. And that can be really difficult sometimes to kind of manage that.
Yeah, this is a race of management. It usually is in the case of these Vs, but when you throw more and more stuff for these drivers to consider into the midst, that just makes it even harder, more tough to deal with, and that has certainly been the other theme of the day. We still have some battles up at the front of the field, but farther behind, it has broken up quite a lot.
Whoa.
As they may have broken up a little bit more. Drivers skating around the racetrack and contact made. That's Middleton and Chapman coming to blows. Drivers scattering to try and avoid making contact. Middleton is already towed back to pit lane. Chapman now up and rolling. That's just going to allow these top two to pull away even more. Now a 2.3 second gap between Tolo and Colascio, now running in third.
Chapman and Middleton definitely getting together there. It looked like, both went off the road together fighting, and then looked like a little bit of confusion as to how to get back on the track there without ending up in pit lane. Maybe a little bit of panicking, looking at that attenuator, getting real close, and had to cut back onto the track. And I think they kind of collected each other in trying to get back on track there. So we'll have a quick look at exactly how that kicked off here quickly with Andy Middleton and Sam Chapman fighting hard. So final corner, just not going to give him any room at all. Ooh, that was a little bit strange looking, wasn't it? Let's get another look at that. Maybe a little bit of tempers flaring here. So a little tap, going to send him wide. And he's just kind of not going to give that position back, Sam Chapman is. He's going to kind of sit there and go, okay, well, what was that? And then, unfortunately, makes more contact. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what to read there, but, yeah, maybe a little bit of tempers flaring, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that final bit of contact was maybe just Middleton trying to pull it into pit lane because it looked like he was
Yep.
following the pit entry.
You're right. Yep.
there. So, I mean, either way, the result is still the same. Middleton, he's in pit lane at the moment. He's going to be out of contention in this race. Sam Chapman is pretty much on an island of his own. The only competitors he's going to have to worry about are your top three at the moment in Spec 2 that are actually spread out a teeny tiny bit, the likes of Jason Grider, Stephen Westcott, and Martin Visser, as that was a driver just spun there on the inside line.
I'm sure who
I
that
believe
was.
that's Gary Kittle. I think that was a 308 of Kittle because I saw him slow on the track map.
Yep. Looks
And
like
a
it
remnant
was.
smoke too.
Yeah, unfortunate there for him. Caught up on the inside. That was our lead pack there too, so it's probably a little bit frightening for them to drive by there. Somebody on the inside, but yeah, I think you're right, Ron. I think he was probably thinking after that contact, I'm going to go into the pit here, and then it just kind of didn't translate to Chapman trying to get back on the track, and they made contact again. Looked pretty messy and a little bit awkward there as well, but hey, it happens every once in a while when you're racing hard. And of course, I believe Sam Chapman been here a bunch of times, very fast driver, but not here all the time, so it's a little bit difficult maybe sometimes for your competitor to read exactly what it is you're going to do. I know how that is. You can in these weekend warrior races, you're not always racing the same people every weekend. Sometimes you're racing someone in a different class, sometimes you're racing a new driver, and it's difficult to kind of pick and choose how you're going to drive that person sometimes. And every once in a while it can kind of just get out of control like that. I know I've definitely been there. But back up at the front here, Guido Marzucci, not much of a lead over Tortello. They're back and forth. Jim Brewster going to be nearly 3 seconds behind them. So they are, I wouldn't say pulling away. It looks like maybe they're trying to chip into to these lead drivers now, in the likes of Jim Brewster, Nate Colascio, and Brian Trzynski, but they're going to have to kind of work together to make it up to the front here. We'll keep an eye on that gap, but I expect it to grow a little bit depending on how much these two fight.
Yeah, thankfully in that situation where teamwork would be required to make the dream work, they do have the benefit of time. We just now scrape past the halfway mark here in this race. There's still 15 minutes of racing action left, but the one thing that will hurt their chances is the fact that when we think about experienced hands in these Formula Vs and very quick racers at it as well, you think of the likes of Guido Marzucchi and Tortello. They know that, hey, if we start going side by side in a position like this, we're just going to hurt our chances of winning. So let's assure that no matter what goes down in the heat of battle, we at least finish in the top two, and then we could start throwing bare knuckle fists at each other. That was Brian Trzynski going off where we don't need roads.
Whoa.
That was heading off through turn number 15.
Yikes.
Rejoins the racetrack without any further incident. That's the thing about this racetrack. Some of the macro shots that we've got here, it is so goofy just seeing a car fire off the road and be able to rejoin a few moments later. Lots of runoff area, not a lot of asphalt runoff area, but enough runoff area that will not end in a car ending up in the barrier, that he can have some small little shortcuts like that.
Yeah, lots of infield here, and it all kind of connects to other parts of the track, so you kind of go off the track and go, oh, there's the corner I need right there, and just drive towards it, and it looks like that's what Dan Trzynski did there. Get back on the track as quickly as possible, probably serving a bit of a slowdown after that, you would think. But Jason Grider here leading our S2 drivers. Stefan Westcott just behind him, about 1.4 behind, so not totally out of reach here, but a little bit out of draft range. I don't think he'd even be getting a tickle of draft, at least in sim, from the driver in front. Just behind him, though, we do have Martin Visser, who looks like... Actually, is he a little bit farther behind? No, he's not too far behind either. So, I mean, there's still a bit of a fight going on here for S2, but they are a little bit spread out. Like you said here, you're going to have to do some work. Looks like maybe Jason Grider has that lap down on Stephen Westcott and Martin Visser at the moment. Things getting pretty spread out. You can see on our timing tower there, our closest battles in orange, about 3/10, 2/10, and about another 3/10 for our race sponsor of Kurt Nunez. Going to get that one right in the 9:18. Thanking him today for the sponsorship. Can't do it without you, man. And not doing too bad out there today. Probably wishes he was doing a little better, but he is in P2 in Masters, so no complaints.
And I think he's enjoying life at the moment. Not going to mention what usually happens to people who make these broadcasts possible here on SMB, and then they participate in the race that they're sponsoring. It's usually something to the degree of a falling anvil coming down and Kong right on top of somebody's head. Hasn't happened to Kurt Nunez yet. I'm not never say never. Don't count the chickens
It's not
before
over
they
yet.
hatch. But
Oh, there's one.
It's not over yet. Oh, yeah, it's okay. We're gonna swiftly and abruptly move on. We got 12 minutes of racing action left.
Here.
Don't want to irritate the people that make the broadcast possible. So let's maybe throw a commentator's jinx towards the series app. And no, not actually. Don't take that seriously, racing gods. If this happens and that backfires on me, I'm going to feel like an absolute ass. Jim Brewster currently holding on to the Masters lead, holding on to 4th at the moment here in this race. Now, Jim at these drafty tracks is usually rather quick, but it's not the ones that are like so crazy in the draft. It's the ones where you still need a little bit of technical skill. Jim is a series admin for a very good reason. He knows these Vs like the back of his hand. He knows how to race them. He knows how to tackle one of these races. It's not only good racecraft and quick racecraft, it's smart racecraft as well. And in these Vs, that can make a world of difference.
Yeah, 100%. That's really what these are. Like driving the car itself, there is definitely some quirks to this car. It's not the easiest thing. Don't get me wrong. There is some driving ability out there, to be sure. But most of racing, and maybe especially the Vs, is about that mental and confidence game for sure. It's about making good decisions. It's about picking those moments, keeping that momentum up, and just making good decisions. And if you're a real thinker in the car and you can couple that with some speed and some talent behind the wheel, you're going to do really well in these. And that's what we're seeing up front here. Guido Marzucci has put that puzzle together over the last couple seasons. Watching Tor, people like Tor, have brought a lot of these drivers, made them a lot faster over the last couple seasons. We've seen it. We've seen a lot of these drivers, in the top 10 here especially, really get a lot faster in the last couple seasons. Not to exclude, the likes of Wayne Buttermore or Michelle Lynn here that are a little not doing quite so well today, or Gary Kittle or any of the other drivers. Everybody's gotten a lot faster over the last couple seasons here, and that's going to be due to drivers like Tor and like Guido up at the front here, kind of showing how it's done. And of course, this awesome community that gets together every Friday and rips with each other and passes things on and setups and so on. So yeah, Ron, definitely thinker's car. I think racing in general is a lot more of a thinking game than most people give it credit for.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that these drivers are juggling. I always compare it to the likes of like juggling chainsaws. It's an odd comparison, maybe a bit hyperbolic, but it's a broadcast with me. Of course, it's going to be a little bit out there. But I think the point remains that there's a lot that these drivers have to worry about. And if there's one slip up, if there's one mistake, the consequences can be dire. In these Vs, no different. Open wheel cars. Open wheel cars are known for one thing: wheel-to-wheel contact ending in catastrophe. Believe me, there's a very good reason why I'm behind the microphone instead of behind the wheel. Firstly, when I was in my karting days, the reason why I didn't do a lot of wheel-to-wheel racing was because I was worried about wheel-to-wheel contact. One small mistake, and you're upside down, having to throw yourself and push yourself away from a cart that was going upside down with you so you don't crack your skull open. That, along with the fact that in iRacing, I have figured out many different ways to flip a race car, many of them as a result of wheel-to-wheel contact in an open-wheel machine. So any sort of contact can be disastrous here in these Vs. Look at Guido, Tokyo Drift.
Wow, Guido holds on to that one. Somehow holds on to the position as well. Not exactly sure. Again, I think that was that corner we were talking about a little earlier too, Ron, where the orientation's just a little strange. You're kind of going through a bit of a transition moment with the car. He's going to lose a bunch of momentum from that one. So he's bleeding a little bit here as Tor seeing that blood in the water and chasing him down here. Not really any good place to get past. Like you were mentioning earlier, Ron, rightly, you don't just want to pass anywhere here. These guys are trying to make sure that their momentum stays fluid and stays forward and progressive so that those cars behind don't catch. They are only 4 seconds behind. That's one corner, one mistake, one very tiny mistake, and they are all right on you, and all of a sudden now you're defending and trying to get Guido. So that's not what he wants, and he's going to hold back a little bit, even though that blood was in the water there, and he probably could get side by side. There's really no point in doing that quite yet, and that is exactly what we're talking about. You got to think in that car. Just because you have a run doesn't mean you should take it. It's just like you say, perhaps one of those people in your life spends too much money. Just because it's on sale doesn't mean you got to buy it.
Amen. That's That is a very good phrase. Funnily enough, earlier today, this was an outrageous text message that I got because I decided to sign up for Yankee Candles text messages, and they send me a message every single time I get an outrageous deal. Buy more, save more. You get $20 off if you make a purchase of $50. You get $50 off every single time you make a purchase over $100, or you get $110 off every single time you make a purchase of $200 or more. Or instead of saving $110 on a $200 purchase, you save $200 and not purchase it in the first place. I love scented candles. Don't get me wrong. I like my room smelling good. I like my room smelling nice. I grew up in a house that still smells perpetually of cigarettes. If I have to do a broadcast with a room that smells of cigarettes, I will riot. However, I'm not going to spend $200 on them. I may have a problem.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. Running on board with Brian Szynski right now, running at 30. He's got Nate Coliseo, and they are extortion.
Wow.
Yeah. It is waxed in a glass mold.
It's a racket for sure. I know. I'm actually a bit of a fan of a good scented candle myself here, and I have some in my room, and you can really pay a lot of money for them, if you want to, or you can just go buy one that costs $20 and is gigantic and does okay too. But there is a definite market for artisan candles that will set you back a bunch, but perhaps a little off topic here for the Formula V Weekend Warriors, sponsored by Kurt Nunez today, actually, by the way. Get a little plug in there. Guido Marzucci still leading here up at the front. Definitely not running away with it, though. That's for sure. Tortello is hunting around behind him. Looks like he's actually looking for a way by here. Then when we just kind of came back to them on picture, he's going to let that go for now. Guido leading. Still going to be pretty much our closest battle on track, except for Nate Coliseo and Jim Brewster here, with Dan Trzynski out in front, holding that final position on the podium, which I know he is going to want to keep. Maybe, this might be another good opportunity here to have a quick look at some stuff that's coming up in the next little bit. Ron, our Mustang GT3 charity race is coming up May 30th. You can see those little QR codes there, place you can donate, place you can join, and a place you can watch there as well. All our information. This is going to be a good one. Good charity event for Sergeant Adam W.E. Stepp. Great cause, and we're really happy to put this one on, so make sure you tune in with us in May for that one. But we'll get back to our fight here with Dan Trzynski at front. Perfect timing as Nate Coliseo pulls out beside him, looking for that third place position, Ron, into T1.
Yeah, and side by side for the top spot into the heavy braking zone. Who's going to get the move done? Oh, it was going to be Coliseo, but Szynski fought back a bit in the second phase of the braking, but Brewster now able to pull alongside. They'll continue to fight side by side off into turn number 3, with Jim finally clearing him and jumping his way up into 4th. 5 minutes left to go here in this race as we start to see the battles get intense out there on the racetrack. We'll keep an eye on this, and I'll tell you what, Josh, this may be a good idea. Let's just quickly ride on board with Guido Marzucchi and listen into the sights and sounds here at the Met. I'll tell you what, every single time we get to do these broadcasts on SMB, Josh, I'm always amazed by how pretty iRacing can look. Like, just optimize some of the graphics a little bit. It looks absolutely beautiful. And even with these Vs that I think we are very familiar with the sound of, this game sounds awesome as well. I'm definitely maybe a bit of a different experience for me. I just got a new pair of headphones this past week because my old ones unfortunately have now gone away to Notoberg. But they're sounding crisp and sharp.
Excellent. Yeah, headphones make a big deal. I always said, people kind of spend a lot of money on headphones, and then people look at you funny and go, what do you spend all this money on headphones for? I don't get it. They all sound the same. They don't really sound the same at all. You get yourself a really good pair of headphones and a good stereo or a good DAC to plug them into, and it makes the difference. It's like I said, we play video games. We do this, some of us professionally and so on. You only really have a couple things. You have your eyes and you have your ears when it comes to these two of the really big important things in video gaming. Sound is a big deal. Don't chintz out on your sound out there. Headphones make a big deal, and you don't know how good sound and music can be until you get really good ones. You do not know what you're missing until you spend the money and throw some on, and it's like a whole new world out there. As Tor hunting behind the number 19 of Guido Marzucci now. We are in the wee hours of the race. He is not happy to be in second place anymore, and you can definitely see him looking anywhere, perhaps pressing square to intimidate Guido. Not working quite yet, but he is looking back there, isn't he? And of course behind them as well, Brian Stinsky, Jim Brewster, Kurt Nunez now looking a little closer together as well. We'll keep an eye on them as well.
Yeah, keeping our eyes on the battles here as the time is running out here in this race. We see these racers head their way off through into the final sector in a couple of moments. Time for what will be the second to last time. The white flag going to be in the air very, very soon, and Guido looking to try and cap off a drive and try and get the W. But this is a track where photo finishes could be a possibility. That start finish straightaway is a little bit farther down than some others usually would be. So keep an eye on Tor. He may try and get that move done at the very last opportunity. They had their way through 15 into 16. Only 2 turns left to go on this penultimate lap, and then Guido will catch that white flag, and these two will be able to grab it with a 6.5 second gap between themselves and a Colacio in third. So I'm not going to say that they won't be in contention for the win, but I am saying that they would have to have some sort of major disaster, these top 2, and the back 3 would have to have a miracle for them to have a shot. So the white flag going to be in the air this time by one more lap of racing action here at the bend, and Tortolo is wasting no time. Is he going for the inside? No! He's going for the outside line. He's going to throw a curveball Guido's way, side by side, down into the braking zone of turn number 1 for the last time here. Been the best spot to try and get some moves done, but not going to be able to get it done around the outside there. Tolo backs out, 3 wide behind though. Jim Brewster, Brian Szynski, and Nate Colacio. Colacio backing out. He wants nothing to do with that. Maybe gonna throw a Chiquita banana peel these 2 drivers' ways, let them slip up so he can take that spot. They're still chasing each other's tails into turn number 3 as side by side once again. Torgan, a good exit there. He'll draw alongside with Marzucchi before they head off into the braking zone of turn number 6. Here they go side by side, stabbing on the brakes right about now. Guido's still on that inside line. He's positioning that car every single spot he needs to be, but he'll be stuck on the outside now into 7, 8, and 9. This is going to be tough for Guido to try and hold on to that thing. He's going to be under pressure. He's going to slip back behind. Tolo takes a race lead before they head their way off into 9 and 10 for the final time here in this race. We ride on board with Marzucchi, who's been up at the front pretty much all day long, but he's now got a half a lap to try and jump once again into that top spot and challenge the driver, who's probably going to be his main force to be reckoned with throughout this campaign. He's the reigning champion, a 4-time champion for a very good reason, but Guido's looking to change the status quo. He thought about it. Hang down into the kink of turn number 13, up the crest they're going to go. Guido not able to draw alongside, but Tolo with the sideways wiggle. This could give Marzucchi the opportunity side by side, so the braking zone of 14 over the hill into 15, and Tolo holds on to that spot. Let's see though, they've still got 3 turns left to go. Here's one of them, that's turn 16. Tolo still punching that hole in the air. Guido aggressively chasing that slipstream into turn 17 for the final time. He pulls to the outside line, not trying to get the move done there. That's not a spot to get a move done. You gotta go for the cutback though. Tor trying to throw him the block. They go side by side into the final turn here at the bend. Who's gonna back out? Who's gonna win out? You can give that to Marzucchi. He clears him out of the turn. Tolo gonna give a wiggle. He's gonna concede. Guido Marzucchi gonna grab the win here at the bend. How did he pull that one off?
Masterclass there from those 2 drivers, and Guido winning out in that complex of corners. The back and forth, the chess game he played has been won, and that was some textbook driving from Guido there. He was able to get that over under. He waited exactly the right moment. He got on the gas right when it mattered. he made that move stick. What an awesome finish there for Guido. What an awesome finish for Tor. I have a feeling Tor's scratching his head right now, maybe for the first time in Formula V Weekend Warrior history, as to how he lost that one to Guido. He did not have an answer for him. That was on merit. Absolutely amazing race there. Jim Brewster's going to take our win in Masters, and Jason Grider is going to bring home our win in S2. What a great race around the bend, and what a fantastic finish there. That was a good one.
Yeah, that right there is how you fight back. That was absolutely incredible. What a way to get this day going, day rolling, and this weekend of Weekend Warriors action up and rolling here as well. We'll take a look at those results in just a couple of moments' time, as the other drivers have now completed this race. Wayne Buttermore and Michelle Lynn, the final two cars to see the checkered flag on the lead lap. Waiting to see the other crashing shenanigans that may go down here.
No!
Oh, don't strike the camera crew!
Oh no, one of our cameras. That was a pretty good one. Michelle Lynn, always good for an after race burn down of the vehicle there, and that was one of the better ones, man. She hit that attenuator, or that camera box, real hard. Guido taking his pace lap, or his victory lap here now, on a very, very well controlled race there for sure. He's going to go off the road a little bit here, having some fun with it. Pretty awesome stuff today, man. Yeah, the bend showing us some pretty good racing around here. I'm actually pretty interested in this track. It does look like one that I would like. At least this layout anyway looks like some fun.
Yeah, it certainly treated us to some good racing here on SMB as of late. We had a banger with the SRG F4 series, and we just had one as well with the Formula Vs. But, you know, bangers are kind of just the order of business here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Tune in week in and week out. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any of the racing action as we get to see this side of Guido's Fox Anderson Racing Team car. He's going to celebrate. I think he has every right to celebrate. It was a brilliant drive for him here. We'll take a look at those results in just a couple of moments' time as well here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Before we move off into the interviews, it's Guido Marzucchi grabbing the victory over Tortello in P2. Jim Brewster rounds out your podium in third, winning in the Masters category in the process. I don't have a good feeling about this with Guido, I'll be honest. Cutting down the grass. Oh, dear. Oh,
full
no.
speed.
Oh, yeah. Oh. He didn't hit anything.
That was, well, I might use that as a
end to that.
wow. That was excellent. Yeah.
There you go.
Nice
So
little spin.
Brian Szynski ends up in P4. Sam Chapman rounding out your top five. Curtin Nunez, the sponsor of today's broadcast, finishes in sixth, with Nate Colasio in seventh. Jason Grider is in eighth. Martin Visser in ninth, with Stephen Westcott rounding out your top 10. Special note to mention of Grider. He wins it in the Spec 2 category here today. Nick Tullo is in 11th in front of him, in front of Dan Szynski, who's behind him. Wayne Buttermore is behind the both of them in lucky spot P13. Michelle Lynn, last of the cars to see the checkered flag on the lead lap, ends up in 14th place. Gary Kittle was in 15th, with Andy Middleton and Brett Thompson rounding out your 17 cars class here at the end of round number 3 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. And now this is an interesting position here. I need to step away from the broadcast booth here. Josh will be talking you through the rest of the action here, and getting the opportunity to have a chat with some of our podium finishers and race winners here. So, Josh, I'll pass the mic off to you. I'll probably have a chat with you during the Weekend Warrior shows tomorrow. Thank you very much for the fantastic camera work as usual, and thank you to all be tuning into the broadcast. I will see you wherever it is in the not too far off future.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Ron. And that was Ron helping us out today. Of course, always excellent on the call, but I think we have some winners to get to here. So we're going to start our interviews off here with Guido Marzucchi and see if we can't ask him just exactly how he was able to get that win. And it was a pretty commanding one today as well. So Guido, wow, on merit, my friend. That was a masterclass in exactly how to get it around Tor and take a win. That one must have felt great. Tell us how you feel.
Oh, well, it feels really good. In the cool down room, Tor complimented a lot, and that means a lot to me because, he's the alien. So being complimented by him is always great proud. The race was good. I got the ball quite. I expected to be up top, but maybe not in pole position. but I had a very good lap, the first lap on quali. And then the race, we battled a bit on the first few laps. Then I don't know what happened. Something happened behind, so we were able to. We suddenly had a gap to run away with Thor, and he kind of signaled me on the straight that he wanted me to stay ahead and do the job. So I was just trying to put fast lap after fast lap after fast lap to increase the gap from the cars behind, and then to have a showdown on the last couple of laps. And yeah, it worked. The last lap was mental. We were together in the European draft party yesterday, so we already knew each other on track. So on the last lap, when he didn't go on turn 1, it was because yesterday during the draft party, every time he would go around into turn 1, I would go around him into the hairpin. So tonight, when I saw that he wasn't going, I said, okay, I know what you're up to, because you want to pass into the hairpin, and he was able to get around me on the outside the hairpin. Great move by him. But then I said my last chance is to try to make him make a mistake on the second to last corner, and if he has a very slow exit and I have a good exit, I can sneak into the last corner. And it worked. It was good. This track is better than I expected. It's really difficult to get away. It's pretty much like Phillip Island. The flow is pretty much the same. A lot of fast corners that you have to nail to be really fast, and a couple of very difficult braking points where it's easy to span, especially the first hairpin is off camber. It's really easy to span there or to go wide.
Yeah, a couple spins out there today for sure.
Yeah, and there are during the race there are few lines that you can take. But I think it's a good layout for the V's.
Excellent, yeah, and actually I believe we are headed off to Summit Point for our next race, and of course we all know Summit Point very well. Are you looking forward to that one? Is that another one you're looking eyeing a podium or perhaps a win on, or is that a little more difficult?
So I always race to get the better results that I can, but Summit Point it's a different story. It's a track that everybody knows. Everybody put down hundreds of miles, if not thousands of miles there with the V's. So I expect a lot of people to be really fast, and usually it's quite chaotic, especially on the first laps. The track is very narrow, and it's a matter of survival. Last season I haven't raced there. It's the only race that I missed, so I'm looking forward to it. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I think you're right there. So many laps turned around there from so many of our drivers, and everybody knows it so well. It's such a fast, hustly, fast racetrack that's hard to pass that too, except for maybe T1, probably the easiest place. But good racing today, Guido. That was a masterclass, I think. You know, we've watched you since last season sort of gain some confidence and gain some speed, and now it's all about making that chess game work out, and you had it today for sure. Every move he had, you had a move for, and you ended up having it, taking the win. So congratulations, Guido. Is there anybody you'd like to thank before I let you go?
As usual, Stevie, congrats on your retirement, Stevie. Well deserved. He officially retired yesterday, so congrats to you, Stevie. And to Michelle and Jim, doing the work to keep it all together. And to Thor, to you, to all the other drivers, and to Team Ginetto, as usual. Forza Team Ginetto.
Excellent, Guido. Right on. Well, excellent race today. It was fun to watch you out there get a win. Really on merit today and stuff, too. That one feels great. So take that one home, crack some champagne or whatever it is you do there, and we'll catch you we'll catch you next week. All right, Guido? Have a good one, man.
See ya. Thank you.
Bye-bye. And that was Guido Marzucci, our winner from today's race. Pretty awesome stuff out there. Perhaps now we will bring in Tor. Let's bring in Tortello and see maybe exactly how it looked from Tor's point of view here. Tor, that was a pretty awesome race between you and Guido, and it looks like Guido is definitely learning. He is getting faster. He's got some confidence out there, and today's chess game definitely went his way. It looked like he actually, he got this one on merit today. So how'd you see it out there?
Oh yeah, absolutely, Josh. Like I just wanted to say how absolutely proud I am of Guido. I mean, he's improved so much over the seasons, and I lost that one fair and square today. He had completely had me on pace for the entire race. I mean, I stayed behind him because we were actually losing time with me in the front, and he was just stellar today, and he deserved that victory so much, and I'm so proud of the man.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome, Tor. We were just talking, a few seasons ago, you just had pace so much faster than everybody else, and everybody's starting to kind of get, they're catching up, and Guido actually found an answer for you, and it's just awesome to watch everybody getting better, and this community kind of help each other along the way as well. Pretty cool stuff, and Guido definitely, you could see out there, wiggling up the straightaway, and I could tell that was cheering for Guido. He did it, good job, kind of thing, and that's just great to see, man. It's awesome to see out there that you guys are so good camaraderie, and that the speed is rubbing off. It's rubbing off on other drivers, and that's exactly what you want to do in leagues like this. So it's pretty awesome to see. But the bend today, pretty interesting track. I've only been here, I've only done a few laps around here, but this looked like a pretty fun layout. Guido kind of likening it to Phillip Island. What are your thoughts on this layout?
Actually, yeah, he hits it right on the head of the nail. But yeah, very Phillip Island-esque. But if anything, a little more soul than Phillip Island. It has more undulation, some like really fun corners that are really well suited for the V. He's yeah, it was really well suited for the racing today, and it was just so much fun. I would absolutely come back.
Awesome. Yeah, this is one that I think I'm going to have to try out. I haven't really had too much experience around the bend, but it looks like a good one. I believe we are out to Summit Point next. I brought that up with Guido, and I could kind of see, I could feel the eye roll and the head shake in the background, that one's going to be a bit of a tough one. Everybody knows it so well. Thousands of hours around there. It's always a bit of a fight. How are you looking into that one?
Well, I mean, it's a staple of the V community. It's we've all had hundreds upon hundreds, maybe even thousands of laps around there, and it's a big draft track, so it really just comes down to who's in the right position at the end. But I've had a few photo finishes there, and I'm hoping to be on the right side of it and beat Guido.
Excellent. Yeah, well, it's going to be a little tougher from here on out, I think, for sure. And Summit Point always throws up some pretty interesting challenges there. Not an easy place to get a pass done. Couple spots, fairly easy, but the rest of the course can be a little bit treacherous. But great race today. Good second place. Is there anybody you'd like to thank here before we let you go, Tor?
First and foremost, thank you to my content partner, Necronibble, and big thank you to Guido today. And as usual, it was so much fun. He's a great guy and a great racer, and it was just great today. And thank you to SMB, and yeah, thank you to everyone in the Weekend Warriors.
Excellent, man. Right on. Well, good second place today, and we'll catch you next week at Summit Point. Have a good one, Tor.
Thank you very much. Take care.
And that was Tor Tullo, our second place finisher in today's V race. I believe we do have one more interview here, and it's a good one. It's going to be Jim Brewster, our admin of today's race. Oh, look at that. He's in here already. Made himself in there. He's in here already. Jim, you had a little bit of talk. You got some notes for me before the race, and it looks like some of them definitely came true here. But you were able to not only win Masters, but also get a top 3. So tell us how you did it, man.
Well, we had a great fight. I don't know how much the camera caught the three of us, but we were having a lot of fun in that. And when it was done, even with that incident between Brian and Nate, that everybody was saying, "Great race, because we really had a lot of fun fighting. It was a matter of attritions, people making mistakes and going for maybe ill-advised passes. I saw a certain purple car disappear, and then I saw Sam Chapman disappear, and and I just kept moving up spaces and moving up and just tucking in the draft and trying to stay with the guys. And you see on the last lap, I actually went into turn 1 in first, but they fought back past, and then they fought a little too hard on that next to last corner. The next to last corner was a tricky one. You really had to park the car and get it turned in, and I'm sure a lot of people got X's on the outside of that corner. And
we did see some attrition for sure. Yep.
Yeah, you see the crazy turn in the middle, that turn 6, that blind bowl thing where that was just, it's a really fun corner, but boy, it's weird. It's one of the weirdest track corners anywhere. So anyway, I buying a new track and asking people I know that's a big request. You notice I did not say big ask. It's a big request to make for people, but a lot of people went out and bought the track, and I think we had a decent turnout. And the reason I think it was worth investing is this thing has 3 really useful configurations. This was the medium one. There's a short one. Next time we're going to do the long one if we come back. And it's got about 43 corners. It's like mini Nürburgring. It just rambles on forever and ever and ever.
I think that might have been the one I did. Intimidated me, and I was like, nope, I don't like this place anymore. This layout looked great though. This layout looked good though. Yeah, I think the first time I went here, I probably jumped right into that big 43 corner layout, and I'm just like, I'm lost, man. It's like a friggin' labyrinth in here. Pretty cool racing today. They likened it, or Guido, likened it to Phillip Island, and Tor kind of backed that up as well. Kind of felt a little bit like Phillip Island out there.
Phillip Island is like you're tucked in the draft. So, by the way, we're going back to Phillip Island with light rain, and you ready for this? Turn 1 is still flat. Even in light rain, turn 1 is still 100.
Well, that's going to be interesting.
One of these cars do 109, and we'll still be going in there 3 wide. Now, Phillip Island is just flat, and you only brake twice. This has a lot of stuff. This took a lot of time to learn. People were complaining about that even in the draft party. It's like, man, I'm still figuring this out, and I've practiced for 2 hours this week, and I'm still finding nuances. So anyway, I think it'll be good. I don't think anybody hated it, and we're all wishing Tor's coming over here pretty soon to race one of Brian's race cars at Gingerman. So we were just had a nice visit with him. One of the best parts of going to the interview room, and I'll have to remind everybody this on the next pre-race speech, that you meet the nicest people in your interview room. I don't know if it's you guys' fault, but your interview room, you meet the nicest people.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we do our best here for sure. Trying to make sure, and obviously the group of drivers here, such a great group of drivers. But Jim, we'll let you go.
The drinks and the food.
Oh yes, of course. Well, we're always I'll make sure our doors open with good food. It helps for sure. So before we let you go here, Jim, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Yes, hi Tam. Tam's been having a lot of fun down there, and
excellent.
We've been visiting a little bit back and forth. I had a week of vacation, and so we did texted back and forth, and I just sent them pictures. But anyway, good to be back on the racetrack, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks again for everything you guys do. You're superstars. Oh, by the way, my full compliments to last week. I cannot believe how few errors you guys made.
We sold it. We tried.
How few errors. If you go back and listen, I think there might be 4 errors out of
they're all mine.
Whatever 3,000 times you said a name. I think there's like 4 errors, and that's amazing. That was a crazy request. Yeah, next time a certain purple car driver asks you to do that, you might have to say, "Get out of here."
Well, I saved the project file for it, so yeah, I can do it again. I spent some time on that one, and that's not a bad idea actually. I saved the project file that I built for that, so we can do it again at some point if we want.
Get her to do it.
Yeah, maybe that's what we'll do. We'll get some drivers, and maybe me and Ron will drive, and you and her can jump in the booth or something. That would be funny. That would be a good one. Yeah, right on, Jim. Thanks. Always good talking to you. Thanks for the admin, and we'll talk to you again soon, man.
You bet. Yeah.
Right on. And that was Jim Brewster, admin of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Always good to have him up here in the booth. But of course, this isn't the only racing that we do here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. We do have a bunch of upcoming shows coming up tomorrow. The FF 1600 at Snetterton 200, and then right after that, Spec Racer Fords at Okayama. So our double feature on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Then on Tuesday next week, we're starting up again with the American Muscle Series at Silverstone Legacy. That should be an interesting one. Not too much play they get at that track these days, so should be a pretty good one there. FIF F4 SRG at Winton International. I know there are a couple drivers whinging about Winton not liking that track very much. It's a difficult one, should be a good one to tune into there as well for those drivers having to deal with that one. And then of course the Dallara F3 SRG F3s at Road America on Wednesday. After that, going to be another good one. And then of course we re-rack everything again, starting with the Formula Vs, of course, at Summit Point, as we already mentioned here. But that's not it. There actually is more coming up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. As I touched on a little bit earlier there, we do have our Sergeant Adam Estep Memorial Scholarship Mustang GT3 race coming up on May 30th. So make sure, if you want to join that, get in touch with us. If you want to donate, get in touch with us. It's going to be a great race for a great cause out there as well. I'm actually hoping maybe I might even get out on track for that one. We want to throw up another big thank you for Stevie Ray and his retirement rounds this weekend. Big congratulations to Stevie Ray for an awesome career, 50 years in simulation, as you can see here on the graphic. His wife Sherry Ray going to sponsor the next 2 rounds for this weekend, and he'll be on track. So we'll be talking a lot more about that over the weekend. But big congratulations to Stevie Ray on his retirement. We'll send a big shout out to him and his family and all his loved ones there. Enjoy that, my man, and we'll see you on track a whole bunch more, hopefully here in the near future. One more we need to get to here as well. We do have a race coming up on May 4th at Portimao. So this is going to be the second in a round of 3 races, that we'll be covering on the Grand Prix Tour. May 4th will be our Portimao race just before our final season championship in the Grand Prix Tour. Awesome Porsche Cup race with no assists, no traction control, no braking control whatsoever. They've taken it off, and it makes things pretty interesting. So make sure we tune in for that one as well as it comes up. But I think that's about it for us here at Slow Motion Broadcasting here this afternoon. So on behalf of Ron and everyone else here, I'd like to thank you for tuning in today. Thanks you for tuning in for the Weekend Warriors here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And we'll catch you tomorrow for that FF race and SRF race. Don't miss them.